The gym was alive with the rhythmic thud of fists hitting pads and the scrape of sneakers on polished wood. Aiden Rourke, janitor and single father, had just landed a sharp counterkick against a black belt, and the entire class froze. Everyone's eyes widened. Every muscle in Aiden's body was tense, yet controlled. The next move could change everything. Then the gym door slammed open. 4 massive men in black suits appeared first, moving like shadows, silent but powerful. Behind them, 2 lawyers carrying gold-embossed folders entered. All eyes fell on Aiden. One of the lawyers spoke with authority that left no room for argument. "Mr. Aiden Rourke, arabbillionaire Kareem Al-Rashid requests your immediate presence. This is not optional." The black belt instructor's jaw dropped. Students whispered, frozen in disbelief. Aiden's pulse hammered in his chest, and Elara, standing at the sidelines, clutched her father's arm, eyes wide. In that moment, it wasn't just sparring. It was destiny knocking, and he had no choice but to answer. 2 months earlier, Aiden Rourke's life was quiet, repetitive, and filled with small responsibilities that often went unnoticed. Every day, he cleaned offices, swept floors, and polished windows in a sprawling London complex, earning just enough to provide for his 8-year-old daughter, Elara. Despite the exhaustion, he never complained. His pride was not in wealth or recognition. It was in the small victories of raising his daughter with love, honesty, and discipline. After each long shift, Aiden and Elara walked together through rainy streets, their footsteps splashing in puddles under the neon glow of street signs. They always ended up at the local dojo, a modest building tucked away on a quiet side street. The dojo had become their sanctuary, a place where Elara learned courage and focus, and Aiden discovered an outlet for the frustration and tension of his life. The smells of sweat and linoleum, the rhythmic pounding of fists, the stern but caring guidance of Sensei Ryu, they all combined to create a sense of purpose. One evening, as Aiden swept the floor after class, Sensei Ryu pulled him aside. "Aiden," the instructor said, his voice calm but sharp, "you have skill. I've been watching you. Not just your movements, but your timing, your balance, your instinct. I want to spar with you. No rules, no holding back. Just for fun." Aiden shook his head, feeling the weight of self-doubt pressing down. "Sensei, I'm not a fighter. I'm just a janitor. I have no formal training." Ryu's grin was sharp, almost mischievous. "Everyone starts somewhere. But courage and heart don't require certificates. Step on the mat and show me what you've got." And so, that evening, under the warm glow of the dojo lights, Aiden faced the black belt. Every kick, every block, every counter was precise and controlled, yet fluid, an unexpected display of raw talent combined with innate instinct. Students whispered in awe. Some muttered under their breath, "How is he doing that?" Even the instructor shook his head, impressed. For the first time in years, Aiden felt alive, energized by something more than exhaustion or responsibility. He was no longer just a janitor or a single father struggling to make ends meet. On the mat, he was a force of discipline, focus, and determination. And unbeknownst to him, someone was watching. A black SUV had stopped across the street, its engine silent but presence intimidating. Inside, Kareem Al-Rashid, arabbillionaire, CEO, and philanthropist, observed with interest. He had arrived in London incognito, escaping cameras, schedules, and the relentless pressures of his empire, seeking solitude and anonymity in the most unexpected places. Yet, the moment he saw Aiden sparring, something about the janitor's focus, calm, and raw skill made him pause. Kareem didn't move. He didn't speak. But he marked the janitor in his mind, the way one notices something rare, something valuable, something that can't be taught. In that instant, the wheels of fate quietly began turning, setting the stage for a collision of ordinary courage and extraordinary power. A few days later, Aiden returned to the dojo, unaware that the eyes of a billionaire had been tracking him from the shadows. That evening, the dojo smelled of linoleum, sweat, and anticipation as students practiced their katas. Sensei Ryu was finishing a lecture on focus when the gym door opened with a quiet authority that silenced the room instantly. In walked Kareem Al-Rashid, dressed in a tailored modern suit, crisp and understated yet radiating power. His presence was magnetic, commanding attention without a word. For bodyguards flanked him, moving like shadows along the walls, silent but alert. Even the black belt instructor instinctively straightened, sensing that this was no ordinary visitor. Kareem's eyes locked onto Aiden. There was a pause, a moment of recognition that transcended explanation, an acknowledgement of skill, discipline, and character. "Aiden Rourke," he said, his voice calm yet filled with authority. "I've been looking for someone like you." Aiden blinked, unsure whether he had heard correctly. "Sir, I think you have the wrong person. I'm just a janitor. I spar for fun. That's all." Kareem's gaze did not waver. "Exactly. That is why you stand out. Courage, discipline, and integrity, without expectation of reward. Most people forget what that looks like, but I see it clearly in you." Sensei Ryu stepped forward, bewildered. "Mr. Rourke, his." Kareem cut him off with a subtle glance. "Please. Let him speak for himself." Turning to Aiden, Kareem continued, "I am offering you something most men would kill to have, not wealth, not fame, not power, but the chance to shape the world in ways you cannot yet imagine. I need someone with your character, your honesty, your restraint." Aiden's chest tightened. The words seemed unreal. I don't understand. Why me? I'm just a father trying to care for my daughter." Kareem smiled faintly, almost wistfully. "Because the world often confuses wealth and power with worth. But the people I need, the people who make a difference, are rarely the ones with money or status. They are the ones who act rightly when no one is watching. You, Mr. Rourke, have done that every day of your life." Aiden felt his hands trembling slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of possibility. He glanced at Elara, who was sitting quietly in the corner, her eyes wide, holding her small water bottle. She looked at him as if to say, "Dad, maybe this is real." Kareem extended a black card embossed with silver lettering. "This is your invitation. Not for charity, not for pity. For opportunity. Come with me, and I will show you what happens when courage meets responsibility. And your daughter, she will want for nothing. I guarantee it." For a moment, the room held its collective breath. Students, instructors, and even the black belt froze. Aiden's mind raced: luxury, responsibility, scrutiny, danger, but also opportunity, hope, and transformation. The janitor's world and the billionaire's universe were about to collide in ways neither could have imagined. I don't know if I can accept," Aiden whispered. Kareem's expression softened, eyes sharp yet kind. "You don't have to understand now. You only need to trust that your choices, your integrity, and your courage have led you here. At dawn, we depart. Will you come?" Aiden swallowed hard, glancing at Elara. Her small hand reached for his. That was all the answer he needed. "Yes," he said quietly. "We'll come." The first time Aiden stepped out of the sleek black SUV, he felt the world shift beneath him. The London morning was crisp, but inside Kareem Al-Rashid's estate, every detail radiated precision and power. Marble floors gleamed under natural light streaming from floor-to-ceiling windows, walls were lined with modern art and strategic displays of global influence, and quiet staff moved with the seamless efficiency of a well-oiled machine. Every step Aiden took reminded him that he was no longer in his old world of worn floors and fluorescent lights. This was a place where decisions shaped millions of lives, and a single misstep could have consequences he had never imagined. Elara's eyes widened as she clutched her father's hand, taking in the lush gardens, fountains, and infinity pools that stretched beyond the main estate. "Dad, is this real?" she whispered, voice trembling with awe. Aiden squeezed her hand gently. "It's real, baby. We're here because of what we've done, because of who we are." Kareem watched them closely, his expression unreadable, yet in his eyes, there was a faint glimmer of something deeper, respect and curiosity. "I will not coddle you," he said. "You will not receive special treatment because of past struggle or circumstance. If you wish to succeed here, you must meet the expectations of my foundation and empire. You will learn, lead, and make decisions that affect thousands. But I promise this, your integrity and courage will be recognized, and your daughter will be safe and empowered." Aiden swallowed hard. The weight of responsibility pressed on him in a way he had never felt before. The janitor, who once cleaned floors and whispered bedtime stories to a sleepy child, now faced an opportunity that could transform not only his own life but the lives of countless others. Over the next few days, Kareem immersed Aiden in a whirlwind of mentorship. He introduced him to foundation executives, discussed ongoing global projects, and even took him to board meetings, observing Aiden's reactions to pressure, scrutiny, and ethical dilemmas. The lessons were relentless, the expectations sky-high. And yet, Aiden never faltered. Each challenge tested not just his skill, but his moral compass. Elara adapted quickly. Tutors arrived, shaping her education in ways Aiden had only dreamed of. She learned languages, science, and arts, but Kareem emphasized character first. Knowledge without wisdom can be dangerous, he told the girl one afternoon as she hesitated before a complex moral decision in a simulated exercise. Always measure your choices against integrity, empathy, and courage. Even during leisure, Kareem watched quietly as Aiden sparred with professional fighters. His moves were deliberate, honed not just by physical skill, but by mental discipline, intuition, and strategy. Kareem noted patterns, timing, and the rare kind of instinct that could not be taught, a combination of natural talent and the moral strength that guided Aiden's every action. One evening, after a particularly intense day of mentoring and philanthropy planning, Aiden and Kareem stood on the terrace overlooking the city. The sun dipped low, painting the sky in shades of orange and violet. "Do you understand now why I brought you here?" Kareem asked quietly. "It is not wealth, nor status. It is your character, your courage, your capacity to act rightly without seeking reward." Aiden nodded, feeling the weight of the billionaire's words settle deep within him. I think I do, sir. I never thought my small acts of kindness could mean anything." Kareem smiled faintly. Most people never understand their own worth. But it is in those who act with integrity, who teach by example, that real change begins. "You have that power, Aiden." And in that moment, the janitor-turned-mentor realized, the world had shifted beneath his feet. The dojo had been his training ground, but this was the arena where courage, wisdom, and moral strength would truly be tested. Life in Kareem Al-Rashid's world was nothing like Aiden had ever known. At first, he had believed that hard work and sincerity would be enough. But soon, he discovered that the billionaire's empire operated on a scale far beyond anything he had imagined. Boardrooms were arenas of pressure and scrutiny, where executives measured every word and every hesitation could be a fatal mistake. Some whispered about his janitor past, some doubted his capability, and others outright mocked the idea that a single father could wield influence alongside billionaires. Yet Aiden refused to falter. Every decision he made was grounded in integrity. When a corrupt contractor attempted to manipulate funds for personal gain, Aiden uncovered the scheme. It was risky. If he exposed it publicly, he could alienate influential partners. If he stayed silent, thousands would suffer. His choice was clear. With calm precision, he presented evidence to Kareem and the executive board. The room went silent as the corruption was revealed. The contractors were held accountable, and millions of dollars in misappropriated funds were returned to charitable programs. Kareem watched quietly, his expression unreadable but proud. "Courage is not about confrontation alone," he said later, as he walked Aiden to the terrace overlooking the city skyline. "It is about doing the right thing when the world expects you to stay silent. You are not here because of luck. You are here because you chose honor over convenience." Elara, who had been following her father's progress closely, began to see him in a new light. She watched him navigate the complexities of power with patience and wisdom, balancing authority with empathy. Under Kareem's mentorship, she learned the importance of moral courage in leadership, how decisions affect lives beyond one's own, and how one's integrity can inspire others. Tensions rose when skeptical executives confronted Aiden in the boardroom. They questioned his qualifications, mocked his humble beginnings, and implied he did not belong among them. The moment could have broken him. But Aiden remained composed, his voice steady, his reasoning sharp. He spoke not with arrogance, but with moral clarity. He highlighted the principles behind each decision, the impact on communities, and the ethical responsibility to act with justice. Slowly, the skeptics began to nod. Even the most vocal critics realized that his insight and courage could not be dismissed. Outside the formalities, Kareem continued to test him in subtle ways. Sparring sessions were no longer about physical skill alone, they became lessons in patience, strategy, and ethics. One evening, during a particularly grueling session, Kareem blocked Aiden's strike and said quietly, "Remember, strength without morality is dangerous. Your power must serve the greater good, not your ego." Aiden nodded, sweat dripping from his brow. He was exhausted, but a sense of clarity settled over him. By the end of the week, the janitor who had once swept floors and whispered bedtime stories to his daughter had earned not just respect, but authority. He had proven that true power was rooted in moral courage, humility, and the willingness to act rightly despite fear, doubt, or scorn. Kareem watched him silently, recognizing that Aiden was not just a student, he was becoming a leader, a man capable of influencing the world without ever losing his humanity. And in the quiet moments, when Elara fell asleep and the city lights shimmered in the distance, Aiden allowed himself to feel the weight of what he had accomplished. The janitor had entered a billionaire's world, but he had not been corrupted by it. Instead, he had transformed it, showing that even the smallest acts of courage and integrity could ripple outward, changing lives far beyond his own. Months had passed since Aiden and Elara first stepped into Kareem Al-Rashid's world. The janitor-turned-mentor had grown into his role, navigating boardrooms, philanthropy projects, and global initiatives with a balance of humility, courage, and moral clarity. Every day was a test, not just of intellect or skill, but of character. And yet, Aiden thrived, proving that integrity could succeed even in the most high-stakes environments. The gala that evening was a culmination of everything he had worked toward. The grand hall was filled with international dignitaries, philanthropists, and business leaders. Elara, dressed elegantly but modestly, stood proudly beside her father. Cameras flashed, lights shimmered, and the atmosphere buzzed with expectation. Kareem took the stage first, commanding the room with quiet authority. "Tonight," he began, "we celebrate not just wealth or power, but the courage to act rightly when no one is watching. There is a man here whose actions remind us that integrity is the most valuable currency of all." He gestured toward Aiden. The room erupted in applause. Aiden felt a mix of disbelief, pride, and humility as the audience recognized him not for wealth, not for his title, but for the choices he had made and the lives he had impacted. The black belt instructor, once skeptical, now nodded in admiration. Other executives who had doubted him quietly acknowledged that this janitor had changed their perception of leadership, honor, and moral courage. Kareem stepped down from the stage, walking toward Aiden and Elara. "You see, Aiden," he said softly, "true influence does not come from money or control. It comes from the courage to act ethically, the willingness to protect and empower others, and the ability to remain human in a world that often forgets the value of kindness." Aiden's voice trembled slightly. "I never imagined that something as simple as teaching my daughter, sparring for fun, or helping others quietly, could lead to this." Kareem smiled. "Most people never notice, because they are too focused on titles, wealth, or recognition. But you lived with integrity. You acted with courage. And in doing so, you created a ripple that changed not just your life, but the lives of countless others." The gala continued, but Aiden and Elara's hearts were full with more than applause or accolades. They had found purpose, validation, and the knowledge that true worth is measured by actions, not circumstances. Later, as they walked through the gardens, Kareem approached them one last time. "Help me honor what we have built here," he said quietly. "Teach others, protect what is right, and never forget that moral courage outlasts wealth, power, and fame." Aiden looked down at his daughter, who smiled up at him with pure trust and wonder. "We will," he promised. And in that moment, he realized that his journey, from janitor to mentor, from invisible to influential, was not about wealth or status at all. It was about the choice to act rightly, to lead with heart, and to leave a legacy defined by justice, integrity, and courage. As Kareem disappeared into the night with his bodyguards, Aiden stood with Elara, gazing at the skyline. He had entered a world of extraordinary power, yet he remained grounded. And he understood, finally, that even a single father's small acts of courage could echo across worlds and generations. True power is not measured by wealth, titles, or influence. It is measured by the courage to act rightly when no one is watching. Integrity, humility, and moral strength can elevate ordinary lives to extraordinary heights. The janitor who sparred for fun became a hero not because of physical skill, but because he chose kindness, justice, and honor over convenience, fear, or doubt. In a world obsessed with status and money, it is moral courage that defines true leadership, shapes legacies, and transforms lives, proving that even the smallest acts of virtue can ripple outward to change the world forever.